Hello and welcome back to another edition of Coach B Weekly for RMUColonials.com. I'm Ken Baker and joined as always by Associate Head Coach and Head Coach in Waiting Charlie Buscalia, or as the teammates and staff call him, Coach B. Coach B, you're coming off a 2-0 weekend. Things look to get right with the Colonials. You guys knocked off unbeaten Bryant, hand them their first conference loss of the season on Saturday, 55-53. And then you guys come out and finish off the sweep with Central Connecticut State on Monday. But let's go back to that Bryant game. Defensively, a fantastic game. Offensively, you guys struggled a bit. But in the end of the second quarter, throughout the third quarter, a 27-2 run by the Colonials, and you guys were able to hold on and beat a very tough Bryant team.
Yeah, Bryant came in with a lot of energy, and they were 10-0, and they obviously were continuing on to try to keep that unbeaten streak. We did a great job of coming out and playing with a lot of intensity. We just didn't execute real well. And when you don't execute well, when you don't finish, when you're really wired up to to go out there and prove something, sometimes you let that get the best of you. And I think we were working real hard, but we just weren't staying at a steady pace enough for us to be able to do the things that we've been doing so easily in practice. And as the game developed and we kept sticking with things as the game got later into the end of the second quarter and the third quarter, we really continued on then to push hard and now start making plays and stop getting so excited out there and played more with focus and doing a good job of reading and passing and catching. And I was proud of the team for really fighting back after a slow start offensively.
And a couple of those players who helped you in that game, Anna Nikki Stamalampro, 15 points, 10 rebounds. Rebecca Navarro had 10 points off the bench, and Ashley Ravelli, who's really starting to be the player that we know is inside there. She came off the bench and had 11 points as well. Monday night, a close game early on, but then you guys were able to get that big run at the end of the first half. You had the 7-point possession. And then you extended that into an 18-2 run to start the third quarter, and you're really able to pull away from Central Connecticut State. They did come back a little bit on you guys there in the fourth quarter, but again, Jocelyn Jones comes off the bench. Here's another bench player for you guys coming off the bench and giving you a big lift at the end of that game.
Central Connecticut State played really hard also. I think that they took a lot of pride in trying to bother us and on their pressure defense and their aggressive play. They're very physical, and we had to do a good job again of keeping our composure, not getting too crazy when things didn't go our way. And we built a nice lead there through some decent runs. But I didn't expect them to give up, and they didn't give up. They just kept coming after us, and then, like you said, cut it to 5, and we had to do a good job of making some plays down the stretch and closing the game out. Unlike the Bryant game, we finished at the end of that game at Central. We made plays, we made good reads, we did a good job of executing out of timeouts, and like Jocelyn Jones, made that nice run for us, and Nikki Stamalampro threw some great passes, and Ravelli was really steady down the stretch. We closed out the game offensively better. Unlike Bryant, where we missed free throws down the stretch, we didn't execute on offense. We took some ill-advised shots, but we got the stops at the end of the game defensively. Central at the end, we did both. I thought at the end of that game we closed out by scoring. We took good shots. We did a good job of reading the play, and then on defense we got stops down the stretch all the way to the last buzzer. Even when there was 10 seconds to go, our team was not going to allow them just to put up 2 easy ones and do anything offensively. And I like that accountability that we're out on the court. We're always going to play. We're going to keep going no matter if we're up 15 or 11. Put teams away, and that's something to grow on. Hopefully, we came over the hill with that.
Yeah, and something you mentioned there is the defense, and that's something that I want to talk about. Whether the offense comes and goes, whether you're hitting shots or not, the one thing that you guys have been doing all season is playing very tough defense. 12 NEC games so far, you've held 9 of your conference opponents below their scoring average. Talk about the defense and what goes into that, and really, kind of that mindset of you're not going to get beat.
Well, early in the season, we were switching defenses a lot. And, that was great to keep teams kind of off pace. What are they going to play? Are they going to play man? Are they going to play zone? What kind of zone? And that did a good job for us early on. We won a lot of games out of conference, and as you looked at the standings, we were the team that won the most out of league games, and we traveled a lot. We played a very tough schedule too, Iowa, Florida, and we had that experience of playing against high-level athletes and big, strong players that that obviously play at the highest level. But when we got into our league play, we had to find ourselves, and we had to find ourselves on both ends of the court. But defensively, we really got after them about accountability and about doing what they need to do to stop teams from scoring by knowing their personnel and understanding what they like to do, and executing a game plan. So effort is one thing and intensity is one thing. That's always got to be there. But knowing the personnel, knowing the scout, knowing what we're trying to do, that had a lot to do, I think, with us now holding those teams to under their average. We are doing a better job of being more accountable now. We still got some ways to go, but we're doing a better job now, and so that's exciting going forward.
All right, and I want to bring this up. A senior leader, Ashley Ravelli, struggled a bit here early on in the conference season, but the last 2 games she's averaging 10.5 points. Eclipsed that 1,000-point barrier yesterday against Central Connecticut State. What do you see differently a little bit in Ashley, or how do you keep her kind of on this upward trajectory?
Well, Ashley's a senior now, so even though she's been through this for 3 years, this is her final year playing, and she's got a lot of things that she's gotten better at. She's got a lot of tools in her repertoire now that she should be able to use, and one of them is experience in dealing with adversity. She went through a bad patch her senior year, which anybody can go through. A lot of seniors go through bad patches, but the seniors got to be the ones that know how to deal with it. And me and Ashley's had some some one-on-one talks and getting through these bad patches, and she's responded really well these last few games. And coming off the bench has been something that is very difficult for seniors to be able to do, especially when you've started as many games as she has. But she had to take that on with maturity and come out here and show her team that either she's starting or coming off the bench, she's going to do a good job for the team, and it's all about making sure that the team is getting the best out of her. And like I said, her response has been great. Yesterday night was a great that was a great example of her doing what she can do. 5 assists, shot at a decent percentage from the floor, very steady, did a good job on defense of talking and working through getting tired. I thought that she pushed herself, and it was a special night. I didn't realize that it was a 1,000-point night, and that's how zoned and focused I am on just the next game and winning the game in the scout. I'm not even up to par with these individual awards that are on the brink. So when the free throw went in, I was looking around. I was like, "Why is everybody cheering?" It looked good. It was all net, but I was like, "Why? What was so special about that?" And then as I looked down the line, the girls were really getting into it. I said, "That must have been 1,000." So that's how focused we are on just the game at hand, and not really worried about these individual awards. And Ashley wasn't worried about it either. And I think it kind of freaked her because then she missed the second free throw, and she's like an 80% free throw shooter. So, anyways, good for her. And like I said, I'm proud of her the way she's played the last couple of games after taking on a new role. And she's going to be versatile now, I believe, and she's going to finish up a nice senior year.
And you talk about that new role. She really makes a strength even more of a strength for you guys. You've had a very deep bench. You've had 10 or more players score in 7 games this season. You've had 8 or more players score in all but 3 games this season. Your bench is averaging 25 points a game over the last 4 games. That little change you guys have done to that starting lineup really seems to be bolstering that bench, and it's giving you a whole new strategy going into these games.
When we talk about accountability, sometimes when you make adjustments, players have to have more accountability when it comes to not just the players you're taking out of the starting lineup, but the players you're putting into the starting role. You're really banking on that people are going to respond, and when you recruit a player to come into your university, you always are positive about what they're going to have here, what their experience is going to be like. But a lot of it falls on their own shoulders. They want to come in here and have a good experience. They want to have a great career. Well, they got to come to work, and they got to understand that every day you come to practice to get better. You come to practice to work and to improve your skills and your team unity and everything that goes along with practice, because nothing that we do is as important as practice. And we have some ruts that we go through, And sometimes players have to step out of the starting lineup and watch the game for the first 5 minutes off the bench and come in and understand what the things that they're seeing out there and come in and do it at a different role. And if they handle that role really well, then maybe they'll stay on the bench and come off and play 20 to 25 minutes off the bench. That happens also. So, it's all about understanding what your role is. And if the coach asks you to take this on this role, you do it the best you can possibly do it. And I don't think it was a magic formula of putting certain players out on the court together at certain times. I think it's more about everyone gets to that point sometimes where they get comfortable and they've got to wake up and say, hey, I got to go back to what made me good. I got to get out there and I got to say to myself, every minute that I'm on the court, this is a minute of my career that I don't want to waste. And, Navarro's been dealing with some injury and the whole team's been dealing with some sickness, and a lot of them have a bad cough right now, and they're taking medication to stay afloat here to continue to practice and play. So I was proud of us getting through it. And like Janae Brown last night, she doesn't get the start because she was banged up and she was sick. And Ashley comes back in and does a great job for us. So, it wasn't like, well, Ashley comes off the bench and she does a great job off the bench, so keep her off the bench. She's just willing to do whatever the coach asks of us now, and then she's in the right frame of mind. And the same thing goes for Rebecca Navarro or Lou Madeley or anybody else that's been in and out of the starting lineup over their career. They come in and say, this is my role. I'm going to do what the coach asked me. I'm going to do what my team needs. And if they're doing that, then they're doing a great job.
Well, and it's been working lately for sure. You guys are on the upswing, won 3 in a row. Now you go out to Fairleigh Dickinson, back on the road. Erica Livermore and Kelsey Cruz, they're a dynamic duo. The Knights 6-6 in the conference, coming off of a tough loss to St. Francis Brooklyn, but you know what to count on when you play an FDU team.
The loss of St. Francis Brooklyn, Brooklyn is in a rebuilding year, but John Thurston's a great coach, and once they continue to learn his system, they'll get better. So I wouldn't be surprised if Brooklyn knocks off other people and when they least expect it, because he does a great job of teaching his system, and experience and time is going to really elevate them over the course of the season. With FDU, they came out here and they just beat us up. They just did a great job offensively. They shot the ball well. They came out ready to play. Coach, had a great game plan, and they just outplayed us. And that just goes to show you, being at home doesn't mean anything. You have to go out there and play the game. Now we got to go to their place, and they're in the same position we were. They're at home, and they probably feel confident that they beat us at our place. And we got to go back out there, and we got to earn it. We got to go out there and say, hey, we're not going to go out there and just beat them because we're mad. We got to go out there and do the work, focus, execute the game plan, do the things that we've been doing lately, the last few games, that's got this 3-game winning streak. Don't go out there and think just because you're excited and mad that they're going to lay down or things are going to happen for you. It's a thinking game. It's 90% mental. And we got to be ready mentally to go out there and handle a big road trip now as we can continue on and carry this into the later part of the conference season.
And looking a little bit further ahead, Sacred Heart, obviously you haven't had a chance to go over any of the film from the last time you guys played. But they are 8-1 since you guys met in the season conference season opener. They're in second place in the conference, and there's a chance for you, or actually tied for first place now in the conference with Bryant. There's a chance for you guys to gain some ground and really solidify yourself and get that all-important home game in the playoffs.
Of course, Sacred Heart's a tough place to play, and we haven't been able to watch them much because after we got done playing them, I haven't seen them too much on film. But it's always a hard place to play. You got to go in there with a special mindset about you're going to stay tough. You're going to deal through adversity. It's a loud environment, even if there's 10 people in the crowd or 100 or 1,000. It's just loud.
One of the loudest bands in the NCAA.
Oh, they really blare, and the acoustics are very bad in there. It's a floating court. It's just a different environment than you're used to, and it's a student center also. So, there's people constantly in and out when you shoot around and stuff. There's people all over the place. The students at the fitness thing downstairs. It's just a whole different environment than we're used to. So you got to go into that environment just with a focus of saying, do what we can do, control what we can control, go out there and prove that we can do something for ourselves that we haven't been able to do very often, is win on the road at Sacred Heart. So, after Fairleigh Dickinson's game over, we'll really get into that mode about, making sure that we understand what we're up against there. But obviously Fairleigh Dickinson's going to be our only mindset at this point, because they're a tough place to play also, and he's done a great job this year of winning some games on the road and stuff that people did not expect Fairleigh Dickinson to win. So, it's going to be a tough game on Saturday, first and foremost.
All right, so there you have it. The Colonials coming off 2 big wins. Knock off Bryant, knock off Central Connecticut State. They sit in third right now in the Northeast Conference standings. They'll look to improve that position this weekend as they head out to Fairleigh Dickinson for a 2 o'clock game on Saturday. And then it's up to Connecticut and the Sacred Heart Pioneers Monday night at 7 o'clock. You can watch both games on necfrontrow.com. For RMUcolonials.com and for Coach B, I'm Ken Baker.